Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now, finally, the update is live, and that means that Raccoon has gotten buffed. And we're going to check out his damage output before update and post update. Even though, before we get any further in the video, I must say, even if his damage is slightly smaller, the same, slightly higher, that's not the meaningful change. Because Rocket's damage always has been, at the very bare minimum, fine, or more so, quite good. The problem always was the fact that he's a glass cannon with little to no utility, which has changed now quite significantly. And that's very, very important. At the same time, let's check out how he did pre-buff. So we have without any synergies, with synergies, and then post-buff, without any synergies and with synergies. And the first, I'm using the same mastery setup in all of these fights. It is with Liquid Courage Double Edge. Whoops, I forgot that I had to restart this fight, because I was recording these on whilst I was in town, so I wasn't paying too much attention. But here we are. So we can see that he, as a baseline, rank 2 6-star, crits for 5k on medium crits with nothing else, and 3k 259 on light crits. That's kind of like his base damage before you get any armor breaks, before you get anything else. And in these fights, there are actually two of them. I've tried out two different rotations, realizing that they don't really change the fight duration too much. So later on, I'm just going to be showing the one rotation where I basically just go for level 2s. I think in this clip, I go for level 2 and then level 1 whilst the armor break is active. And then in the rest of those, I just go for level 2s flat out. I do not have any deep wounds on. Deep wounds would have kind of helped a bit as well for that bleed duration on the level 2 to do some bit more damage. But overall, we can see that for a rank 2 6-star, he's doing fine. And the greatest thing is that he's not even necessarily a long form damage champion. He ramps up very, very quickly, and then he kind of peaks. He's not like Star-Lord, where the longer the fight, the harder he's going to hit. He's better for relatively shorter fights, which is exactly what makes a lot of champions useful, which is exactly the line where Corvus, for instance, lives. So it's also important to understand that he's not necessarily tuned for, at a rank 2 level, for 500k health pools to be the fastest. But if it would be 200k health pool, that fight would be like way shorter, and it would be way more impressive amount of damage coming out there. But as I said, he's made quite a good time. So here in the end, we're going to see that level 2 finishes it off. We have 144 and 105 hits. So I redid the fight again using just the level 2 rotation. And we're going to see when that comes to end pretty much in just a moment. So without synergies, 95 hits, 146. So under 2 minutes, about 100 hits. So 146, 95. Let's check out how he did with the synergy team. And then, again, this is one of those scenarios where you're not realistically typically gonna synergize up Rocket. This is just for kind of like our own notes, where we give him War Machine pre-fights to increase his attack and shrug off the Liquid Courage Double Edge debuffs. We give him Magneto House of X pre-fight to give him some more attack and ability accuracy. And Crit Monkey synergy to give additional armor break there. And then I think the Black Bolt was there because it kind of gave crit damage and attack. And we're going to definitely see an improvement. So we can see that now you crit for 6.6k when the armor breaks active, and 4.2k on light crits. So that's definitely better. That's definitely more. Now we're going to have a nice level 2 here, even though this didn't crit. So even with this one not critting, he's still going to pose. That is a rare occurrence, but he's still going to do a very good time because the rest of the damage is very good. So here is a full 55k crit on that level 2. Now he crit at some point for 10k synergized with double armor breaks active. So that's definitely very, very good damage output, and even faster, even better, as you'd expect with synergies. 74 hits, 1 minute and 19. I redid the fight because I didn't like the fact that we didn't crit on our first level 2. And the results are basically the same, though. So here we go, and it's 112 and 72 hits. So that is 112, 72 hits. And now the update comes out, and let's see how he does now. Again, remember, the fight duration pre-buff was 144 to 146. Now, vast majority of the utility in this fight is irrelevant, because we can heal block Winter Soldier right now and put in a tiny armor break. You don't really want to do that. What I want to do is get as much scrap metal as I can and drop as big level 2 as possible. That is the dream. And here we can see that the level 2 in itself is about the same size, but that armor break lasts significantly longer. Armor break is actually slightly weaker, but previously the armor break expired extremely quick, where you could only typically get in one combo. This time around, that armor break lasts for like 30 seconds, and it is definitely noticeable help. You have lost bleed on level 2, and I suspect they did it because of Bishop matchup, most likely, and they moved the bleed to level 3. But here with 2, we get 2 armor breaks, we hit for 56k, and this is again completely unsynergized rocket. And his base damage here, it used to be 5k and 3.2. Now with a single armor break, he hits for over 6k and 3.9k. So he actually does more damage by himself now as he did before, minus that bleed. But all that improved damage in kind of like a longer fight definitely makes up for it, especially in moments like this where you still get a little bit of duration when you have both of those armor breaks active. And yeah, so previously we finished the fight with like 95 or 105 hits, and it was 144, 146. Now it's 90 hits and it's 132. Now, important note here is that this is also now taking in consideration that Winter Soldier is a metal character. His damage is going to be slightly lower against non-metal champions, because you will not always necessarily be able to get to 50 scrap metal by the time you need to drop that level 2. But I suspect in those matchups he's probably going to have identical damage output. So his damage actually went up slightly, plus all that utility. And now we have the synergized theme. The synergized theme changed slightly because Hitmonkey synergy is kind of irrelevant now, but we still have War Machine, we still have Magneto House of X and whatnot, and it's relatively equal, I think, in benefit, more or less. And now we can see that obviously he has more base damage even without that armor break. And now we can reach up to 60 scrap because of Yondu synergy, which will make that level 2 hit even slightly harder. 57k crit here. So first level 2 actually did 130 something. So it's a lot of damage, is what I'm trying to say. It is quite a lot of damage. And now we're going to move on. Here I accidentally trigger shield system, which I actually did not want to do. But I'm going to try to get as close to like 50 of my charges as possible. So it didn't make too much of a difference in the fact that I triggered it. But I would have hit slightly harder had I not triggered the shield system. But here again, we see about the same numbers previously as synergized. And that is also going to be the exact kind of conclusion here. That when synergized fully, he has exactly the same damage output. As we can see, 117 seconds, 77 hits. And it was basically the same. And I could have had like another fight. There's like 5 hit, 1 combo difference at the end, but it's basically the same. I'm sure if I redid this fight and didn't trigger that shield system, it would have been exactly the same. So basically, he actually hits slightly harder against metal champions now, and probably about the same in a generic matchup. And obviously has a new chunk of utilities. He has access to Rapture now. He has access to passive heal block. He has significantly longer duration armor breaks that you can access to relatively easily. And he will have access to power control as well in any matchups where healing is involved. And that is quite crucial. That is quite important. And that does make him, in fact, quite a bit better. I also like that now Rocket Raccoon doesn't trigger any buffs. There's no cruelty on level 1, stuff like that. So he's going to be easier to use against, for instance, Mystic champions and things like that. So overall, obviously, it's still far too early to tell. But at the very least, when it comes to whether they toned down his damage because they gave him much of utility, no, they didn't. The damage is slightly better or the same. pretty much in all of the circumstances. So let me know what you guys think. How do you guys like him so far? And obviously there is still a lot of testing to do. So I'm going to catch you guys later. See ya. Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about